Hello, everyone. This is another exciting episode of Think About It. I'm here in Detroit, Michigan, and this is a special episode for me because I'm here with my dad today in the Big D. And you guys know that I told you before that this struggle has been going on for a while, and it's in me to do this, and it's in me because of my dad, the history that this family has with social justice. And before we go too much deeper into this, I want to formally introduce everybody to my father, Deshazer.
What a woman. What a kid.
Well, I want to thank you for being on this show.
Thank you for asking me.
Yes, and so everything that's going on in the climate, all the George Floyd, as a matter of fact, when we got here the other day, it was a protest about a mile away. But before we go into this, I want you to tell them just a little bit about you.
Well, I got into community activity accidentally. I was a person that did a lot of things because I wanted to do them. And next thing I knew, other people in the community, especially older people, started saying, what are we going to do next? I'm like, excuse me? I'm a kid. Right. Why are you asking me what are we going to do next, right. A Catholic church actually took me in and trained me to do things to help other people.
Okay.
So based on that, the Detroit Police Department here had a problem with me because I was bringing people together. As long as I was working with teenagers and young people, there was never a problem.
Right.
When I started bringing the parents in with the kids, and the parents started getting, can't say backbone, but they started learning more, then that's when the police department got involved. Parents and kids together is too strong of a union. So basically that's how I got started, accidentally, just being me, wanting a better neighborhood, wanting to see my kids grow up in a better neighborhood, a great neighborhood, and just being me.
Right. And that was interesting. You just talked about how when people come together, the ones with the power get a little nervous. The ones that already are in that seat get a little nervous, but there's always strength and power. And if we want to make our communities better, we have to involve the parents and the children. It has to be a collective unit, wouldn't you think?
Not only do I think, I know. I did so much work, I've done so much work here in Detroit with other people and other groups. We had a center that people gave us the right to use their center. It's like a housing complex. When we moved our organization out there, the stealing stopped 100%.
Oh, okay.
The people that owned that project were so happy with us. They said, hey, look, we got a unit for you. We have a community center. You can use it, no rent, nothing. As I work with, and other people with me work with the people in that community, one night we were showing a movie called The Extermination of the Jews, which is so similar to our background. During that time, because there was parents in there and the teenagers and of course my group, our police department rode through that community while we were watching this movie and shotgunned the windows out. Now, what did that do? It made sure the parents separated themselves from us, and they made sure that their kids had nothing to do with us because their kids are learning. When you start learning about rights and justice, who are you? And see, a lot of times you end up in court and they say, ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Right.
Well, if you don't know the law, you're ignorant about it anyway.
Right.
If you don't take some classes in the law and you're a kid, how do you know what's right and what's wrong as far as they are concerned?
Okay, see, that's a concept that's getting, well, it's always been around, that we can police our own selves. I know in Wichita and other communities, I feel we're over-policed. But if we police ourselves, I think it works better. I think if we, like I say, we teach our own selves about what the laws are, what the rules are on the books, then we can teach our young people, and so we know what to expect from ourselves. We don't have to worry about the police coming in and arresting people and putting their knees on people's necks, you know. And so I've always liked the concept of us policing our own selves, or us empowering our own selves, you know, then we don't, hopefully we can avoid some of that other stuff. You know, they're talking about now defunding the police, and the police say, well, we have to be mothers and fathers, and we have to be social workers, and we say, no, you don't. Like I said, if you had a community group and you guys were doing those things yourselves, then that's one less thing that I think the police have to worry about, and they don't need the funding. We can get the funding to the communities, and they can start doing them things themselves, you know?
Well, that's so true. But then too, you have a lot of people, parents, that were so young when they had their kids, and they grew up under a kind of like a Jim Crow law. You can't touch this, you can't go here, you can't. So when they started having kids, they didn't really chastise their kids. They let their kids touch this and let the kids do that. Oh, my child, he's okay. And so the discipline kind of disappeared. And so now you got a child out on the street telling somebody that they don't know, oh, you're not gonna do nothing to me. You're not my father. But these people out here will hurt you. You know? So your mouth could be your worst enemy. Not being educated is truly your worst enemy. Not necessarily you need a degree, but you need to know what's going on out there in the streets, and you need parents who can tell their kids what's going on out there in the streets, to, you know, teach them, to train them, to give them discipline. Without discipline, you got chaos. And when you got chaos, now you got quote unquote hell.
And see, that goes back to also that parents, we're kind of in a generation where parents don't discipline their children. And so then the children grow up and they come into problems. And I honestly believe that we can alleviate some of our problems if we have a little bit more discipline in the home. And, you know, I'm not knocking any parents or anything, but we got to start making sure our own homes are intact, so nobody else can tell us how to run our homes.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
I hate when kids go to schools, because they said, you know, when the kids go to schools, the teachers get to make determinations if your kid is bad, or if your kid needs to go to foster care, right? You know, little Sally cutting up, and they call SRS on the parents. You know, but in that household, that's just how the household runs. Doesn't mean they're bad parents, but I think we do have to navigate into a form or a system so that our kids aren't just looked at and picked at because of how we let them act at home.
Right. The way they act at home is the way they're going to act in the streets. And unfortunately, you got people out there that's not going to accept your act. It's as simple as that. A lot of parents, well, let me say it this way. There are many parents out there that are ignorant. Ignorant means very little knowledge. It doesn't mean that you're stupid. It just means you have very little knowledge. And because they were so young, when they were growing up and they had kids so young, and they wanted more for their kids, the Discipline Act didn't come in. I remember the time my mama used to say, boy, I brought you here, I'll take you away from here. You know, I heard that in court one time. Did you say to your kid? Huh? Yeah, I said it. My grandmother said it to my mother said it to me and my sister. It's just one of those things. It doesn't mean that someone's going to get killed, but that was part of the Discipline Act, part of the discipline conversation. And unfortunately, the ignorant parents out there, and not all parents are ignorant, you transfer that to your kids, to your child, and it's unfortunate because your child is going to go out there with their ignorance and make it hurt or worse. So it's one of those kind of unexplainable kinds of things that we are in a shelter like. You know, our community is sheltered by those that know and those who don't know. There's a whole philosophy out there about how do you know what your kids are saying? You know, if your kids say, well, Mom, I had a great day today. What is a great day?
Right.
If your child say, I had a sunny day today. What is a sunny day? How do you as a parent respond to that child? If your child say, I had a rough day today. What did you say back to that child? You know, or Mom, Dad, I heard there was so much stuff going on. I heard. That's another key to that learning level that that child is on that maybe you as a parent don't know. So if you had a rough day, how would I respond today? Well, how rough was it, son? You know, did you feel like things didn't go right? Rough. Feel. You know, those things are a common language for those who understand language.
And you know, talking about language and different cultures, I think that when we have all these diversity programs and companies and at the schools, we need to look at those, and I think they need to impart the family part of it, because Black culture, Black families, our cultures are a little different than other families. And so I think if we can kind of maybe educate those in power when they're talking about these diversity and inclusion programs, they need to bring the Black family culture in so maybe they can also understand where we're coming from. We're back with Think About It, and my special guest today is my dad, Deshazer, and we were talking about putting maybe Black family culture into some of these diversity and inclusion programs, and so that maybe other people can help understand the dynamic of the Black family without thinking, I gotta call the police or I gotta call the social worker. So they understand us better, you know, to alleviate some of that other stuff. So, from your perspective, what do you think about it? You said, you know, families are younger and, again, different discipline measures.
Families are younger. Our families are uneducated. When we come to this earth, there's no instruction manual. Simple as that. We have parents. And whatever that parents know, that parents translate to us. Excuse me. But there's another factor within that. Here's an example. You ever see this dog, everybody like his little dog, his nose all pushed up and all that kind of stuff? Okay. Years ago when God brought that dog to this earth, it was not like that. The nose was not pushed in, pushed up. But man bred that dog until they got it to look like they wanted it to look. Okay. Now, when you think of slavery and 400 years of people beating us and hanging us and things of that nature, we've also have been bred to think a certain way. Right. Just like that dog, and we're not dogs, but the way that dog was bred, there's a lot of things within us that parents don't see. It comes through the way we have gone through our form of genocide, you know, our form of we're gonna straighten them out, whoever them are, those are. Right. And so sometimes you'll find a child doing some things that you've never seen before. And just like that dog who didn't come to this earth looking like that, it has now been, even God let the dog come that way now. And so the dog don't know it's not supposed to be like that. It doesn't know that it's not supposed to have all these breathing problems and things of that nature, but it does, and we do.
I like that analogy. 400 years, we've been told you have to be this way and beaten down, that you're not of value, you don't have this worth, you know. Society in America has been trying to beat the the black man down, so to speak. We know we come from Africa, from a people that were way technology even back then, you know, the math and the architect, we were ahead of our time.
The first college in Timbuktu, Africa.
Yeah, so we were already somewhere. And like you said, but we got bred over and over, generation, trying to knock black people down, bring us down, and we do have to break that.
Right.
You know, we have to break down what others tried to impose on us.
They didn't try, they did.
They did it.
They did, unfortunately. And we are acting and responding from the things that they have done to us. Our kids are acting and responding to things that have been done to us. And sometimes you can be the best parent in the world, and that child will do something, and you're like, what in the?
Where did that come from? Right.
You know, and it gets to be a situation that you and the child is fighting, but there's something within that child that's been bred into through all of us, but it came out in that particular child, and that child is not doing what we think it should do, but it's doing what it's been bred it to do. Right. In order to change this child, you as a parent must pick up some sort of education on why this child is acting like that. Parents has a very specific role in raising a child, and it's not easy, you know, and it's not hard. It's working with your child, it's understanding that child, it's understanding our history. We didn't come out of caves.
Right.
Those that came out of caves tried to, beat us down.
Right.
And it's amazing that these folks have the power of the world. They came out of caves and put us in slavery. We were already into education and trying to make the world better. And when they came, it was like, oh, hi, how are you doing? Oh, fine. They got all that land, they got all that gold. You don't need that.
Right.
Give me that land, give me that gold.
Right. As a matter of fact, we want you to go work some land and make us some more gold.
That's right.
Or somewhere else.
That's
a
right.
matter of fact. So we got to break the cycle, and we have the ability. We have the knowledge. Like I say, it's in us. We're back again, and with my special guest, my dad, Deshazer, and we just left off talking about how when the Europeans and others went to Africa and they saw the intelligence, the gold, the wealth, and how they said, I think we'll just take that.
That's right.
And not only did they take it, they took the people and shipped us off to a new land to make them more money and more wealth. And again, we got the short end of the stick. You know, you come in and raid, it's kind of like coming in your home. I'm gonna take everything you got.
I discovered you.
Yeah, I discovered you, and this is all mine now. And so we have to recover from that, and we got to find it within ourselves. Because you know, like I say, our black communities across America, we're great people. They are, and sometimes somewhere along the line, like you're talking about that breeding, we were told that we were less than, and sometimes we act less than.
Right. The reason we were told we were less than is because back then they could see that black babies being born were bigger and stronger than other babies, and they were like, So they figured it out. It came from the breast milk. So when our mothers started having babies, they started taking their breast milk and giving it to the white kids so they could be bigger and stronger. We are more intelligent than a lot of people. You put two of us together, another race and this race, and you give us the same opportunity, we always excelled. And see, people back in history, they understood that. They were like, whoa. So the first thing they did was they beat our language out of us.
Right.
Every other country, you know, that send people here, they speak their language.
Their own language, right.
But we don't.
Right.
But they do speak some of our language, and that is mama, K-Swahili word, used all over this universe. So even those who have called us the N-word and things like that, they have used the word mama.
Okay.
So you're using black terminology. But then they put over us the most ignorant person they could find to beat us, to whip us, the person who said them, that, those. And so we grew up saying them, that, those, and they said, oh, they're ignorant.
Right.
Excuse me?
And we got that from them.
The situation become sick, silly, and insane. It's as simple as that, sick, silly, and insane. Black parents need to understand that. In America, it is said that 2% of the people think the Martin Luther Kings, the Mahatma Gandhis. 3% of the people in America, it has been said, think they think. And 95% of the people in America would rather die than to think. Unfortunately. You tell a kid about a clock and he said, Glock, or give me a 40. Right. I want a 40 caliber Glock. No, we're talking about a clock, son. You know. Right. So it get, even for us, it get to be sick and silly and insane for what's going on in our neighborhoods. Now, we have a lot of good people, a lot of good kids, a lot of great parents. There's many of them out there. Jesse Jackson brought up the fact that there are more black men in colleges than in jail. But what did you hear in the street? We got more black men in jail than, no, it's just the opposite. See, even we continue to stereotype.
We stereotype our own selves.
Ourselves, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And we need to get to the more positive things and what's going on in our community. But one thing I've noticed, those kids who are undisciplined, you have the best child in the world. Your child get the best grades in school, and all of a sudden he or she start getting beat up or get killed. So what? Well, see, that's that breeding that to hate ourselves, to hate the best of us. I mean, life is kind of easy to figure out. You want to be a winner, it's easy to figure out. The 36 Olympics, when they had that foot race, and everybody know who won.
Right.
Jesse Owens. But who came in number 2? Jackie Robinson's brother. Jackie Robinson, the baseball player that broke the color barrier and all of that. He also prepared to be the best in life.
Okay.
But by a few seconds, his opportunity was gone.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And here's a guy that has an education, has a college degree, and he ended up sweeping streets.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So, in order for us to be a winner, we must understand coming in number 2 is not bad. It's what you do with it.
What you do with it.
Yeah.
Right. And talking about being prepared, and I work with programs, we're working with youth all the time, and we're trying to push the narrative that you are better than what your circumstance may appear.
Right.
Or what people may be telling you. I work with over the summers, we find that when we do summer school, our kids excel, and they're the same kids that maybe during the regular school season, their parents get phone calls. And so it just let us know that, again, our kids are intelligent, maybe just the way that they have been talked to or taught just hasn't been working, because if they can excel in the summer, they can excel all year long.
That's true. Have you ever heard a black teacher tell black kids, okay, keep it up, I got mine? Whoa, so what does that mean?
Right.
What does that, what kind of inference does that say? Does that say, I'm not going to give you my best because you acting up today? You don't know what went on in that child's home.
Exactly.
But a lot of black teachers have said that.
That's sad.
I got mine.
That's sad.
Ooh, okay.
And that probably comes from that same breeding you were talking about.
Exactly.
Because I find that there's a certain class of black folks that kind of think they're better than other black folks. And instead of taking your knowledge and your opportunities and passing them along, like you say, I got mine, you better get yours.
Right.
And that's really does not benefit us as a whole. Of course, we all want to make it, but we
Right.
can't forget about the other people that actually want to make it too. They just don't know how.
Right. And we've been taught not to make it. We have been taught that if you're making it, I need to bring you down. Here's an example. Can I tell an example about your life?
Go ahead.
You're in school, you're in elementary school, you're all A student. All the paperwork that came home was A paperwork. I get a report card and there's not an A in that particular class. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. What? No, something's wrong here. So I take the paperwork and I go back to the school and I confront that teacher, not angrily, but out of intelligence and love, you know? And I said, how is it that my daughter doesn't have an A in your class? And she said, well, life isn't like that. And I said, what do you mean life isn't like that?
Right.
She said, well, she's gonna learn that life is not all A's, so I'm just preparing her then I cut her off. I said, no, there's no preparing. If she's a winner, she is a winner. But I may have said some other kind of things that we can't talk about. But here's a black teacher seeing a child that's producing A's in the system, and I'm gonna break her down.
Right.
Just because she thinks she's smart, she got all A's.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna give her a B.
Right. It's crazy.
The
It's
paperwork
crazy.
doesn't say B.
Right.
So there's all kind of things we need to be involved in schools. I was one of the first persons here in Detroit. They went from PTA to a different kind of organization where the leader of the PTA could actually come into that school, look at what the teachers were doing, and if they were not doing the correct things, we could get that teacher transferred. If they had tenure, we could get them transferred. If they didn't have tenure, we could actually get them fired.
Okay.
And that scared a lot of the teachers. At the same time, the school brought in, white teachers as well as young black teachers, and they were teaching you guys so much. But a lot of the black teachers became offended, and they wanted to. Well, in fact, one teacher told me, "Are they moving these kids so fast? When they get to my class, then wait a minute. What is it that you're not doing, that you're not prepared for this young, bright mind that's running like a racehorse and winning?" And you said, "Whoa, slow down, horse.
Slow down. Right.
You're not gonna eat oats anymore. We're gonna give you a little dirt. See how you like that."
Right.
Oh, no.
I like that concept. Since I've been mentoring, I've been in the schools, and sometimes the kids say, "That teacher just doesn't like me," and I'm like, "Come on." And they're like, "No, that teacher doesn't like me." And so down the road, I found out the teacher really didn't like that kid.
That's right.
And so maybe an oversight program would be good. Maybe we should bring some of that back. And I think that gets back to talking about the culture and understanding our kids in that big system.
In the 60s, a group of young minds took the worst kids in a particular school in Philadelphia. And when they took these kids, they told the next grade that these are the smartest kids in the school. All these kids were failure paper-wise. And guess what? At the end of the season, the teachers said, "Oh, them kids are so smart, and they produced this and they produced that, and we had this and we had that." But these were the dumb kids.
Right.
They said.
Right. And so our kids need just a little bit more attention, or maybe taught in a different way, and they would excel like everybody else.
I think so. We make it do what it do. As Ray Charles would say.
Right. We make it do what it do.
Ray would say, "Make it do what it do, baby." Which is fine.
Right. Okay, we stopped off talking about, our kids are bright, and sometimes we need to look at learning and teaching in a different method that reaches our kids, because I actually think it's boring to sit in the classroom all day long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could do it. I mean, I did it, and I just thank God that, you know, I was kind of smart, y'all. But I think it's, when you think about church, and the kids have to go to sit in Sunday school for that hour. I'm a Sunday school teacher, and it can get boring. So you gotta have different methods to teach kids, I think, especially because we have natural rhythm and we like to move, and you know, sitting still like this is so boring. So we got to take that into a factor. So at the beginning, we were talking about the social unrest that's going on in our country right now. We know that George Floyd, his murder just kicked off worldwide. Everybody's now paying attention. It's been going on forever.
Right.
It's been, police brutality is not a new thing, but for whatever reason, it's waking up other people's eyes right now. Like I said, when we got here the other day, there was actually a protest going on because of a police shooting, even though the video showed, you know, some different things that people didn't have the information at the time, but still there are protests going on across the country, and they want change. And so I want to go back to 1967 Detroit riot to today. And get your perspective. What was going on then, and how you see it now?
Part of the Detroit riot was a business opportunity for a lot of the businesses that was on those particular streets. I personally saw fur companies sneaking furs out through the back of the store, and they had somebody in the neighborhood who would let them put the furs in there, and then they would have somebody to go back into the store and set the store on fire. So it wasn't just we out there doing our thing. The white community, the business community, wanted to get out of the neighborhood, so they did their thing, but they blamed it on us. Secondly, 1967, Detroit was a mess. We had stress and all that kind of stuff. What's different today is that it's reported quicker. Cell phones, tape recorders, TV cameras. Back then, and before then, you have to say before then, that information was not readily available. So we had to read about it and you go, oh, that's bad. But once you can see it happening, it's like, Now we also know that there are agitators out there, people coming into our community that don't live here, and they're starting burning, looting, breaking stuff out. And as you said about this yesterday, 2 days ago, a guy who lives in that neighborhood where the guy was shot, they interviewed him and he said, I don't even know these people who's out here. Isn't that something? These people marching and protesting, and nobody in the neighborhood knew who they were. Isn't that something?
And you know, you talk about the agitators. It was shown during now Minneapolis and some of the other cities that pallets of bricks mysteriously appeared overnight. They're like, wait a minute, where did these the protesters didn't bring the bricks? You know? And then how they saw the woman, I believe it was a woman that set a building on fire. They had nothing to do with the community. And so, like you say, I think because people want to hold us in a certain light, they start those things. Oh, they're just looting. Well, no, you guys did it. You planted that.
That's right.
You know, that's not what we're here for. So how do you see people wanted justice and police reform back then, and that's what we're seeing right now?
Basically, it's almost the same. When you really think about what happened then that wasn't reported, but it's being reported now, how is it that over 20, 30, 40 years, the same thing can continue to happen? And it happened the same way. And people are like, oh, that is so bad. Oh, those people out there. No, those people do want justice. We're tired of being beaten. We're tired of being shot. We're tired of being hung. Look at this race car driver, Bobby something, Bubba something. They found a noose hanging in one of the garages. You know, it's like, wait a minute, aren't we past that stage?
Right. And then the way, even with the news, how people tried to, well, it wasn't for Bubba, it was already there. Well, it's still a problem.
It's still a problem.
It's still
It's
a
still a
problem.
problem. And the problem lies within the people themselves.
Right.
You know, we don't know, when I say we, I can only speak about the black community.
Mm-hmm.
We do not know enough about justice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we certainly don't know enough about the things that we can do to counteract some of the things that's going on. And what people want us to do is get mad, get huffy. You know, they want us to go out here and rip and burn and loot, then they can shoot us.
Right.
And eliminate us.
Right.
And that's crazy.
It's crazy.
You know, that's
right. And
super.
that's one of the things I've always wanted to impart on our people. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap, and we have to quit falling for the okie doke.
That's right.
We're better than that. We are so much better than that. Like even the gang members. There's a program in California that they taken the mindset of the drug dealer and put it into a legitimate business, and it's thriving. And so they are making profits to help the next generation.
Right.
That you can do things a different way. Use that mind, because if you think about it, it is a business.
It is.
It's a business.
Yeah.
And they know how to move product and make money. And if you just put it in a different realm,
Right.
You go from being the thug to being Bill Gates. You know?
And the sad part about that is the average drug person can't get along.
Oh, can't get along.
Can't get
right.
along. So he get it from the streets.
He get it from the streets, right. Right. And so in this fight for justice, we need to keep an eye on the prize.
We must. And as Richard Pryor said, when you go down to the courthouse, it's just us.
Right.
You know, and that's, Richard Pryor was smart. He, in some of his comedy act, especially television, they didn't know that Richard Pryor was secretly sending messages out to the black community to make things better. And when they found out what he was doing, that's when he was canceled. They say it was a particular show by him and this white lady. No. The one that you see most often when he was into Egypt and they went into a cave. Remember that one? And he was Chevy chasing another white guy. And while looking through the cave, they found this book. And Richard Pryor started going through the book and said, hey, this looks like my people. And the white guy's like, nah. Yeah, my people was kings, my people were queens. Wow, I didn't know how this was going on, you know. Hey, look at this. That look like a guy I know in Detroit, but he said it differently,
right,
you know.
Right.
But he was saying, we are some of the smartest people on this earth. And be aware, don't let any outside influence tell you that you're not the best.
Right.
You know.
Right. So we need to get back to our roots before we were bred to be something other than what we are. And that would help us with this whole social justice fight. And I think it'll help people to realize that we are bigger and better than what some people have portrayed us to be.
Exactly. And we're smarter. Super smart.
Super smart.
The guy that invented the, think about it. I know it's time for us to go.
We invented everything.
We invented everything. They took the drums away from us, but the drums became illegal, but Morse code became legal.
Right.
Morse code is the greatest thing since sliced bread. What you think the drums are saying?
Right. Morse code. All right. Well, again, this has probably been my most favorite show because, like I said, I'm here with my dad, Cliff Deshazer, and I'm in Detroit, my hometown.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you again for being on Think About It. And hopefully this show has, once again, given everybody a moment to just take in some knowledge, take in some information, and think about what's going on and how you can, what you can do to improve your community, your city, your state. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye. Thank you for tuning in again to Think About It. And remember, if you would like to be a sponsor, just reach out to us. If you have a topic you want to talk about, again, reach out to us. You can now find us at KLTR Studio, Channel 26. I forgot what I was supposed to say. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Think About It. We are always looking for sponsors. If you want to start advertising, we got you. As this station grows, your product can grow as well. You can catch us at KLTR Studio TV, Channel 26. Think about it.